shortcuts this time. Right. Okay, so if you haven't already, let's go ahead and open up After Effects. Then I'm going to go ahead and drop some photos into to the Google Classroom. I'll just put it in general here. These are the same ones from last time, if anybody remembers the 3 different animals we went over. There we go. All right, and should be posted now. So if you see the photos in our Google Classroom, go ahead and download those right quick. Import those in After Effects. I'm just going to go over what we did last time real quick, and then we'll move on to a small mini project here. All right, and just let me know once you have it in After Effects. There, it should be a wolf, a seal, and an owl. Hey, yeah, open After Effects and bring in the 3 pictures posted to the Google Classroom. Okay. Anybody having trouble getting those 3 pictures? All right. Is anybody having trouble getting those 3 pictures? Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and share this. My mistake, guys. Awesome. Okay. All right. So we got 2 out of 4. Yeah, I hear somebody. Um. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Anybody not have the pictures in yet? Anybody having trouble opening After Effects? Getting the photos, finding the photos? All right. Cool. Cool. I'll just move on here. Just let me know if you're having any trouble. Okay. So I went ahead and made a new composition here. Right. Standard composition, 1080, 24 frames per second, 3 minutes duration. Okay. Pulled in all 3 photos into this composition, and we'll just start with top to bottom. I'm just going over what we went over last class real quick here. So there's 3 types of masking. So there's the shape mask, there's the track masks, and then there's also blend modes you can use for masking. All right, and I'll just demonstrate each one here and follow along the best you can. Let me know if you have any questions along the way. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and get these to fit the composition. So with the out layer selected, right click on it, transform, and then fit to comp. Automatically resize it for me. Size this layer. All right, and so for this one, I can demonstrate our shape layers. So I'm gonna come down here to the layer and hit enter so I can change the name and just call it shape layer or shape mask layer. Excuse me. Cool. All right, and then we're going to proceed to cut out the head from the rest of this photo here. So with a shape mask layer, it's basically just using shapes to mask out what you want and what you don't want. So it's really simple. Well, this one is. Make sure your layer is selected. Right, you go to your shape tool, and you can just click and drag. It'll automatically mask out that layer for you. So since I'm using a rectangle tool, next rectangle mask, go here and make an ellipsis. I also mask out that portion as well. Okay, I'm gonna hit undo and focus on the rectangle mask here. All right, if we come back down here to our layer, you can see it creates another subcategory underneath our owl sheet mask layer here, masks, and this is where all your masks will accumulate, or shape layer masks. Right, so this first one is here. All right, I open that up and I got a couple of options here. The most useful ones here is inverted, which is pretty obvious. It just inverts the mask. If you're working with multiple ones and you want a more complicated mask using shapes, you can also come through here, use add, subtract, intersect, etc., etc. And then also another option here worth noting is the feathering, mask feathering right here. Well, let's see, do add. And what mask feathering does, it just feathers the edges of the mask, right? Not having to go through and blur the edges manually. It works really well with fur and feathers and that sort of thing. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete that and get a more accurate mask around the head here. In order to do that, make sure my shape layer mask, the owl layer, is selected. Come up here to pen instead of the shape tool. And then I can draw around the head here using the pen tool. It's very quick. I'm not adjusting any of the curves. I can always go back and do that later. And just follow the owl's head here. Alright, almost there. There we go. Now the owl's head is cut out. We'll go ahead and hide these little layers. Alright, and then I can just use that as needed. Moving the layer around, the mask moves with it. So you have to worry about adjusting both at the same time. And again, go back underneath masks, mask 1. You can hit that feather to get a more, seem more accurate. It just looks better, right? Especially with feathers here. All right, click off, take a look. It's pretty good. So cheat it in a little bit. Get rid of some of the yellow parts in the back. Let's see, got somebody new coming in. All right, cool. Got another person in here. All right, Miles. I think that's Miles. Miles. So we are in After Effects right now. All right, I've posted 3 photos to the general section of our Google Classroom. If you go ahead and incorporate those, we're going to go through 3 of the masking techniques in After Effects. Yes, yes, we did. Well, let's save that for next time. Okay, kind of low on time now. A couple things to get to, but you have yours ready to present and everything. Yeah. Okay. Well, next class, Thursday. Okay. Okay. Um. Well, what are you doing at 7:15 today? That works. Okay. Cool. Cool. I'll send you a ring. All right. Okay. So yeah. So shape layer. Used expansion a little bit to tighten up the edges to get rid of some of that background there. Feathering to sort of get a better feel around the edges with the feathers. Feathering for the feathers. Yeah, that's the shape layer mask. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, easy to use. All right, I'm just gonna hide that. Then we're gonna move on to the seal here. And with the seal, we're going to be messing with our track map. So again, we're going to come back to the photo, our canvas panel here, right click, transform, fit to comp. It's not as high definition as the other one. Make a minor adjustment. It looks a little skewed to me, so go here, stretch it out just a little bit there. Cool. All right. So next we're going to use a track map. So with the track map, it's kind of like a shape layer, except with the track map we can actually animate the mask independently of the photo. And that's the sole purpose of a track map. And so you can animate both elements independently. You know, not always you want the layer to sit still with the photo, especially in After Effects. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. There's a number of ways. I can go right click in the empty space here, new shape layer, or I can clear my selection, go to my pen tool again, and just begin drawing. So again, I'm just going to grab the head portion here. Alright, and now we're drawing an actual shape. Alright, yep, very quick. And again, I can always go back in here and make adjustments using my control vertex tool. Soften out the points and whatnot. Okay, and now that we have our shape directly on top of the seal's face here, go over here, I'm going to rename it so I don't lose it amongst the layers here, and call it the track map. Track map mask. And bring this down in the stack order until it's right above the seal layer here. Then rename the seal layer, call it track mat base, so I can differentiate the two. Alright, now that that's in place, well, this part gets a little tricky. Is there any questions so far? Nope. Nope. Pretty solid, straightforward. Awesome. Okay, so next part is that we want to right click on the layer name right here so we can get to our columns. And underneath columns, we want to hit modes. Alright, and with modes, we have two things that pop up. So mode column, which is our blend mode, so that's with that. Next up, then our track maps right here. Alright, and with the track maps, we're going to go to our track map base. Alright, and then when we assign a track map to it, it's going to use the layer above it and just the layer above it. So what we can do is, this one of the alphas here, Luma is based on brightness, but as long as we got a shape layer or some sort of photo with alpha matte in there, we can just use alpha instead. Alright, so I'm going to use alpha matte. Alright, and so what it does is hides the shape layer above it and uses it as a mask for our seal layer here. Right? In this way, each layer has its own transform node, and we can make independent adjustments to mask and to the image as needed. Okay, cool. All right, that's our track matte. And the last one, we'll go into our blend modes here. I'll use the wolf here. So again, right click, transform, fit to comp. Stretch it out just to be particular. Right about there. Okay. And so with this one, we'll go ahead and rename this. Blend mode, mask, base. Alright, so it's kind of like the trap map. It just has better um, incorporation. So you can do alphas, but you can also do color, difference, um, darken, screen, that sort of thing. It's the same. It's right here. Same modes you can find in Illustrator, Photoshop, that sort of thing, right? So it's a matter of combining pixels with the layer on top with the layer underneath. So darken and multiply. So all the pictures, all the pixels that are darker on the top layer show up and replace the pixels underneath. Add is the inverse, so all the lighter pixels on top, replace the ones underneath. Overlay averages them both out. Usually good for getting contrast. Then difference is, well, it's a little complicated as far as like functionality and stuff, but it's a different look, right? And you got your hue, saturation, color, luminosity. Um, the part that we'll be messing with is the stencil here, stencil alpha. So what we can do is, again, create a shape, clearing our selection, going to our pen tool. All right, draw out around the head here. Coming to the leaves, fine. This demonstration. All right, got my shape completed. I'll go ahead and name this the blend mode mask. All right, we'll bring it down till it's right above the blend mode mask base layer. All right, and instead of like track matte where we go to the base, this one we're just gonna go to the one above it. So we're gonna go to mask instead. And again, we can do multiply. So darker pixels, all the darker pixels show through, and then the lighter pixels are placed. And then screen or lighten is the opposite. So the orange is replacing all the lighter, all the darker pixels in this one. So all the lighter pixels underneath show through. All right, we'll mess with stencil alpha. And I'll do the same thing as the other ones here. Alright, and lumina is based on brightness. Alright, and if we do silhouette, it's kind of the same thing, but the inverse. Right, and lumina, excuse me, silhouette lumina is the inverse. Just using brightness there. So, alright, any questions so far? Concerns? Confusion? Okay, it's still updating here. Alright. Okay, cool. So next step is, let's see how well this works out. Alright, so here's a crab photo. Good enough resolution. So the good thing about crabs is that they have exoskeletons with segments to them and everything. What I want everybody to attempt to do is to go ahead and mask out this crab, all right, section by section. So each section gets its own layer. So this is back shell, is torso, receptive thorax, whatever it's called. Um, the individual sections of his arm. Let's mask out each one of those, right? And then when we come back on Thursday, we're going to attempt to go ahead and animate this crab walking down a tree. Not this tree, but this tree right here. You can use any of the three. Probably shape mask is going to be the easiest. Um, we don't need to animate the mask independently, but we're going to cut out the individual sections here. And then come back, work with anchor points and animating rotation. And then hopefully we'll have some time to get to the drop shadow, which should be pretty fun. Okay, so let me drop these in the classroom real quick. Okay, cool. They're in there. Let's go ahead and get started right quick. I'm gonna go ahead and see how fast this can be done. And I'll be right here. Just let me know if you have any questions. Alright, so it looks like we'll have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, about 18 different layers here. Oh, and then the pinchers. That should be about 2 there. Again, with the pen tool, and go through, just use multiple points to cut this guy's segments out. All right, is everybody moving along at a good pace? Any hang-ups so far? Okay, cool. And let's not worry about the antenna too much. We can reconstruct those after we get the segments together. The brackets where? Inside the shell. Uh, yeah, so each of the segments. So we'll mask out each of the segments here because we want this guy to move or kind of walk or shimmy or fall down the tree here. Right, right. Each crab section here. Yeah, it should be over about 18 layers, 18 different mask layers. Okay, so this is not bad. Um, yeah, so we won't get to animation next class too well, but we'll be able to go ahead and finish this up and set up anchoring and whatnot. Um, okay, cool. So that'll be homework. All right. So come to next class with let's say at least 10 segments done. Right. So I can tell that you know what you're doing with applying layers, duplicating, etc. And then we'll finish up rest of the setup, and then we'll turn this guy into a puppet next class. And over the weekend we can animate him appropriately. All right. Any questions? No, pretty straightforward. Okay. Cool, cool. All right, guys. So yeah, let's get 10 different sections done. We'll just run through. We'll check it on screen. Next class. And then yeah, that'll be that. And then Miles, I'll see you at about 7:15 after the next class. Cool. All right, guys. I'll take it easy, and I'll see you on Thursday.